Hello, welcome to the Instant Insights podcast. At GlobalData Thematic Intelligence, we track over 100 tech, industry, ESG, and macro themes impacting all major sectors. I'm Thomas Pothalingam, and today I'm joined by Charlotte Dunlap, Research Director for Enterprise Technology and Services at GlobalData, and Beatriz Valle, Senior Analyst from the same team, to talk about the competitive landscape in large language models, or LLMs. Hi, Charlotte and Beatriz. I hope you're both well. You recently published a report assessing the competitive landscape in LLMs, which is highly relevant given the emergence of an AI-driven economy and the changes that will bring to the way people live and work. So I want to begin with what prompted you to research and report on the competitive landscape for large language models.
This is Charlotte. Thanks for having us. I'll go ahead and start that one. It's sort of surreal, really, because the term LLMs, large language models, was largely unheard of by most of us before the end of 2022. So, which makes its kind of explosive growth and monster investments sort of startling and sometimes overwhelming. Unfortunately, its immaturity also makes evaluating competitors' closely guarded training methodologies challenging. And that's something that Beatrice and I found out pretty quickly when we started this focused research on LLMs over the past year. And to be fair, some of the complexity around trying to compare, apples to apples, to attempt to put some parameters around different LLM providers, different models and platforms and tools, is the fact that we've got quite a variation of leading players in this space. So following OpenAI's release of ChatGPT, then we suddenly had a number of cloud and platform providers and hardware and chip manufacturers and startups, just sort of move quickly into this space to kind of try to stake a claim in what's really been unparalleled technology since the birth of the internet. So over the past 18 months, these vendors have leveraged some of their previous AI development efforts and set about building and training models as part of the Gen AI portfolio. And they've all come at it from different directions.
And to level set this discussion, can you please explain LLMs to us?
So the way we define that, Beatrice and I, is Gen AI platforms are largely based on multimodal foundation models, and LLMs, they're born out of a growing interest in accessing natural language processing so that we can query computers that way. And that's possible due to really big advancements we've seen in artificial intelligence in recent years. And those include machine learning and deep learning through neural networks. Those are also called generative adversarial networks. And then finally, the emergence of the transformer architecture in 2017. And so that represents breakthrough efficiencies in training models. And so finally, Thomas, further paving the way for LLMs has been the massive growth in computer power driven by GPUs with parallel processing capabilities. And those are what's needed to drive Gen AI workloads.
Thank you for that explanation. It was really informative. I'd like to dig into that into more detail. So what sort of metrics or buying criteria did you guys compile for use in comparing the various competitors in this space?
So we looked at several factors. This is Beatrice here. The report includes Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, Anthropic, and other vendors. And these companies all of them own their proprietary large language models. And they offer an ecosystem of enterprise tools associated with those models. So what we do is we evaluate not just the core model technology, but the entire ecosystem. In terms of the core model capability, the size of the model is very important. And what this is the amount of data that has been used to train the model. And it is called context window. And this translates into better quality outputs. It helps reduce hallucinations and so on. So right now in the market, Google has a family of models called Gemini that have some of the largest context windows. Although other smaller companies, such as, for example, the startup Anthropic, also have introduced models into the market with very large context windows as well. Other important factors we look at are, like Charlotte mentioned before, multimodality. So this is the capacity to generate not only text, but also sound, moving image, so outputs they can be, for example, videos or music or other things than text. And we also look at the multilingual capabilities. So there are companies, like for example, there is a startup called Cohere. They are particularly good at large language models in other languages, because of course it's not just English that, all these large language models, they are trained on massive amounts of text in different languages, and some vendors are better than others at offering alternative models. Other things are the capacity to customize the model, so each company can train the model using their own data, and this means the models will be a better investment and companies will get better ROI.
I understand that your research also explores the market drivers that got us to where we are today with generative AI and LLMs. Can you highlight some points there?
Some of these things that have driven us to get to where we are today have to do with application modernization, something near and dear to me because I follow a lot of developer technologies. And what I've learned over the years is the operational complexities that are associated with moving these modern apps, like we're talking about microservices, into production have been extremely complex. So therefore, companies are demanding technologies like intelligent automation and observability to support CI/CD workflows. And so helping further adoption of those emerging technologies within DevOps teams, we figure that the industry is definitely going to be increasingly see support from Gen AI enabled tools and platforms and LLMs. So that's why we made note of that in this report. Similarly, as far as access to app creation, we all have heard for some time now about this global IT skills gap in the form of enterprise developers and data scientists. And so companies are really needing to eliminate the time and tasks that are performed by those experts. And again, here, Gen AI technologies supported by LLMs, we feel sure, are certainly going to simplify app development, like baseline coding and say Python script conversion to more easily enable front-end app development and back-end development, frankly, with data access. I'll let Beatriz, you've got some more to add on.
Customizing models is obviously a very important part of the potential in this market, because what happens with large language models is that they are very compute hungry. So what this means is every time that we input a query, so we ask a question in natural language, for example, or any other use case we may have, into, say, we ask ChatGPT anything. What this model is going to be is they are going to process massive amounts of text very quickly, and this goes inferencing, this is called, goes through, it's very compute intensive, it's expensive, it requires hardware that runs on the famous NVIDIA GPUs. And so this means that the return on investment is not always that good. So by customizing models, what enterprises can do is they can get more bang for their buck. They can use their own proprietary data, which is going to yield more accurate results, and it's going to be safer, or they can use data from a particular vertical industry, say healthcare or banking or finance or insurance. And so this is something that will make generative AI more viable from a business standpoint. So customizing models, and those companies that are able to offer models and tools that help end users to best customize the technology for their own purposes, they are going to be definitely ahead. So this is an important factor to look. We look at the open source ecosystem, so all the open source frameworks that are proliferating in this market, and what they have done is they are democratizing access to generative AI. And this means that more users are contributing to the technology, and this fosters innovation and collaboration. So this is also quite a good thing.
So without further ado, we'd love to find out who are the big winners which you've named in the document that you call LLM Competitive Landscape Assessment.
Yeah, sure, Thomas. We think they're all really winners. But yeah, the way we rated them is we did name Google as being the leader in the LLM competitive landscape. And that's due to a combination of highly developed model capabilities in the Gemini family and sophisticated enterprise tooling to build and scale Gen AI apps. The Gemini family of products really differentiate by having, I think Beatriz just alluded to, one of the largest context lengths, a native multimodal approach, enterprise-grade platform services, and they've really established a reputation among developers and data scientists as being an engineering-led innovator. We go into more detail in our report, but I'm going to keep it brief because then we name OpenAI as being very strong in the competitive landscape, thanks to its core model technology with strong code generation and multilingual capabilities, multimodality, the context window size. And Microsoft follows closely with its high degree of penetration in the enterprise and tooling that's anchored in the powerful capabilities of its exclusive Gen AI partner, OpenAI, as well as Microsoft's proprietary model Phi. Then IBM is also rated very strong for its Granite models that have been trained using carefully curated data, and it scores highly in governability and has one of the most exhaustive indemnification clauses on the market. And Beatriz, you're going to kind of just touch on a few.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, so after those, of course, other strong contenders are Amazon or AWS, and Amazon ranks strong. So Amazon has its own proprietary technology, Titan models, which is very competitive as well. This company was a pioneer in providing access to third-party models. And of course, they have a formidable customer base. And so through the Bedrock services, what they do is not just provide access to their own proprietary models, but also to models by Anthropic and many other companies. After that, we have, of course, another hyperscaler, Meta. It follows very closely. And of course, Meta has very cutting-edge AI research. In fact, they were, alongside Google, one of the first companies, and of course, IBM, in deploying artificial intelligence and generative AI. And they have their own Llama family of models, and they are openly accessible. It has enabled Meta to benefit from a very large ecosystem of developer activity. And so that's very, very good for the platform. Also, as strong, Anthropic, it has, like we mentioned earlier, one of the most powerful models in the market, Claude. And it has massive context windows, but what this company is very well known for is responsible AI. They have something called constitutional AI, and this is a method that shapes the outputs of AI systems according to a set of principles. And they promote scalability and transparency, and they ensure that the models the outputs are more transparent, and they don't have as many biases and things like that. And finally, Cohere was ranked competitive in our report. It has the Command family of models, and they have very strong multilingual capabilities with training data from quite a wide variety of languages.
All right, thank you very much, Charlotte and Beatriz, for these insights. You can find their report on the competitive landscape in LLMs on one of our intelligence centers and in the report store. Thanks for listening, and from us in Thematic Intelligence, see you next time.